think gold is money?
No.
It's not money. Even if it has been money for 6,000 years, somebody reversed that and eliminated that economic law.
Well, it's an asset. I mean, it's the same. Would you say Treasury bills are money? I don't think they're money either, but they're financial
Why do
asset.
central banks hold it?
Well, it's a form of reserves.
Why don't they hold diamonds?
Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition.
Some people still think it's money. I yield back.
My time has expired.
Thank you. The gentleman from Texas, the ranking member of the subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Bernanke, earlier you were asked a question about the value of the dollar, and you sort of deferred and said, that's the Treasury responsibility. I always find this so fascinating because it's been going on for years. Your predecessor would always use that as an excuse to not talk about the value of the dollar. But here I find the chairman of the Federal Reserve, who's in charge of the dollar, in charge of the money, in charge of what the money supply is going to be. But we don't deal with the value of the dollar. But you do admit you have a responsibility for prices. But how can you separate the two? Prices are a mere reflection of the value of the dollar. If you want to control prices, then you have to know the value of the dollar. But if you're going to avoid talking about the dollar, then all you can do then is deal with central economic planning. If we stimulate the economy, maybe there'll be production and prices will go down. And if prices are going up too fast, you have to bring on a recession. You have to try to balance these things, which I think is a totally impossible task and really doesn't make any sense, because in a free market, if you had good economic growth, you never want to turn it off, because good economic growth brings prices down, just like we see the prices of computers and cell phones. Those prices come down where there's less government interference. But the hard money economists who have been around for a while, they have always argued that this would be the case. Those who want to continue to inflate will never talk about the money, because it isn't the money supply that is the problem. It's always the prices. And that is why the conventional wisdom is everybody refers to inflation as rising prices, instead of saying inflation comes from the unwise increase in the supply of money and credit. And when you look at it, and I mentioned in my opening statement that M3, now measured, I can't see how this is going to be helpful. My question to you, Mr. Chairman, is this. What will it take for you to say to yourself, could I be wrong? What if I'm mistaken? How long is this going to go on? $9 trillion? What if, say, in 5 years from now, we're in a deep, deep slump with your definition of inflation? What if we have high prices going and the economy is very, very weak and unemployment is high? Would you say to yourself then, boy, maybe I really messed up. Maybe I was on the wrong track. Maybe the free market people were right. Maybe Keynes was wrong.
We're working along we're not completely in the dark. We're working along
But you don't think there's any point where you might say, maybe we went the wrong direction? I mean, what would have to happen if we do that? Is there anything?
I'm telling you, Congressman, I don't believe we'll have an inflation problem in terms of consumer prices. If that turns out to be wrong, then I will concede that.
Some people, some people think the Depression ended when World War II started. And, of course, others believe it never ended until the end of World War II, when all the bad debt and the malinvestment was liquidated and consumer demands returned. Again, where will the money come from? This is our problem in this country. We're bankrupt, too. And also, along this line, do you feel like, you go along with this commitment, what are we going to do when a state gets under the gun, like California and others? I mean, they're approaching the state that Greece is in. I mean, we can't turn down California. I mean, if we can be on all these banks and they get off the hook, and now they're making billions, and their executive officers are cleaning up, do you think we would ever turn down California or any other state that gets in the same situation?
Well, that's Congress's decision.
Well, you bailed out a lot of people from the IMF. You have the capability of buying up some debt and doing all this kind of thing. We can't even audit you to find out what you do. So you can do anything you want, and you can create as much money as you want. Where would the money come from?
It would come. It's a loan, but it would come from the U.S.
Eventually,
government.
we would create out of thin air.
Well, it's a loan.
Because we don't have
If
any
it's not paid back, then we would take our share of the loss.
Am I considering Ben Bernanke for your running mate?
No, I don't think so. I'm not going to pick Ben Bernanke. We'd like to make him unemployed.